I'd like to welcome y'all back to another episode of Beyond the Fear podcast, the place where y'all come for motivation, inspiration, uplifting, and overall positive message. I'm your host, DJ. In today's episode, man, I just want to talk about resets. Um, these past couple of weeks, I've been I've been going through a lot. Well, let me not say a lot because I don't want to overdo it. I've been going through some things, and day before yesterday, I finally was kind of at like a mental breaking point, especially at work. I was I was so ready to crash out, as they say. Man, when I tell you, because like especially if you've watched the podcast before, you know that especially in my past, I'm not the best at handling tough situations. I'm not good at handling stress. I always respond to stressful situations with anger, with frustration that normally 9 times out of 10 just makes the situation worse. So, this time around I would just because like I said, I've been dealing with it for weeks. And that it was what Friday. Friday was just one of them days where it was like I was just kind of at like my breaking point, my tipping point, and I just wanted to snap on some people, and I just wanted to quit my job. Like literally, those were the thoughts that I was having, and and it was getting the better of me. Those thoughts were like getting the better of me, but luckily, I didn't do it, because that's what the therapy has been for. That's what, just taking this time to just improve on myself, improve on my mental health, improve how I look at things, especially when I'm angry, especially when I'm upset, especially when I'm in those moments where it would be so easy for me to revert back to who I was, or the way that I was, or the way that I'm used to doing things, which I know are not productive. They're counterproductive. So in that moment, I'm not gonna lie and act like I didn't have those thoughts. I had those thoughts like, man, this job ain't worth it. Like, just go ahead and quit. It's not worth the stress. And, I just had to sit down for a second, and I just had to breathe and, do my little, woo saw. and and I just realized that, hey, one day at a time, let's just get through the day, see how we feeling. But I did say that the following week. So the following week I was going to just take some time off, just take some time away from the job, just to give myself a reset, because I just needed a mentally, emotionally, I just need a reset, because that place was getting the better of me, and I didn't like how that made me feel. I didn't like that it was like that it was drawing something old out of me, that I haven't had to deal with. But I am thankful that I dealt with it in a way better way than what I'm used to dealing with it. So yeah, man. And so yeah, this week that's getting ready to come up, I'm just doing a reset, man. I'm just, refocusing. I'm so glad I got a therapy session coming up too, so I can talk to my therapist about it. Everything's just kind of lining up perfectly. But yeah, I didn't realize how important it was to reset, and how a reset can be an answer instead of snapping and going off and just making a situation even worse. Sometimes it's just better to take that step back. And that wasn't something that, I really ever thought about growing up. In my mind, it was just you handle it one way, and that's, just straight into it. Everything needs to be a conflict, everything needs to be this big grandiose thing. and so and I never and the crazy thing is that I never really cared. Let me not say, because I was about to say I never really realized that it was making things worse. I just never cared that it was making things worse. I did realize it was making things worse. I just never cared. I never worried about the fact that it was making things worse. So that was um something that I had to realize as I was going through therapy. It was just like I just didn't care. I didn't care that, hey, there's a better way to do this. I didn't care that, hey, doing this is going to make things worse. This is not going to help the situation. I wasn't worried about tomorrow. I wasn't worried about next week. I wasn't worried about a couple of hours from now. The only thing that I was worried about was what's happening right now and how it's making me feel and what I want to do to stop feeling like this. And again, that's all I really knew to do was just to get angry, to get mad, to quit that job, to go cuss this person out. And that's exactly what I did. And 9 times out of 10, most of the time, it ended it ended very poorly. You know what I'm saying? It made the situation worse. It turned a situation that probably was fixable, a situation that probably could be mended, a situation that may have just been a misunderstanding or miscommunication and could have been handled very positively, very easily. It became it just became a worse situation because of the way I chose to handle it. I chose to just take the easy way out, which is it was instead of talking, I just get mad and I go after somebody, not attacking them physically, but just going off and not caring about the consequences. And I mean, and I can look back now and I can see that there were times when there were managers or teachers who were like, "Hey, you know, you getting ready to put yourself in a position where you could lose this job. We really like you. We really want you to stay, or you getting ready to get put out of school or get suspended, whatever the case may be. We don't want that to happen. Or, like, let's deal with it in a different way." So there were times when they were telling me things like to help me realize like, hey, you said some things, but regardless of that, you're a good worker or you're a good student, you're this, you're that, whatever the case may be. We want you here. We want to keep you. We would love to have you. Please don't, please don't do this. Please don't keep continuing to do this. And it was just one of them things like, again, at that time, I was so stubborn that once I had it in my mind that this is what I'm about to do, this is what I'm doing. I don't care about how it affect me. And again, most times I regretted it because you know, it turned out in a way that I can't say that I didn't expect it. I just didn't care. It turned out in a way that I just didn't care. I didn't care that, hey, I might lose my job. I wasn't thinking about it. The only thing that I was thinking about in that moment was the frustration that I was feeling, the pain that I was feeling, the embarrassment, the hurt, whatever it may have been in that moment. And now I gotta go get my get back. And now I got to go tell you about yourself. And now I got to do this stuff. And I never cared about the consequences. And then when they hit me, now I'm mad at the world when it was my fault. And I had people telling me, hey, this could happen. We don't want it to happen. We are trying to prevent it from happening, but you got to help us. You got to work with us. You have to stop with your behavior. You got to stop this stuff that you're doing in this moment so that way we can get to a place where we can talk about it and things like that. But I wasn't trying to hear that in the moment. When my mind was made up, my mind was made up. So I went through a situation like that similarly like a couple of days ago. And, and I had the thought, to go snap on some people, tell them how I really feel about them. And then just to, walk off. But luckily, I did realize that, hey, I'm not trying to be that person anymore. I do have more resources than I did back then. I do realize and I can acknowledge that that isn't something that I want to keep doing. I know that that behavior isn't going to lead me anywhere positive, and the places that I'm trying to go and the things that I'm trying to do. I can't keep handling my frustration or my annoyances or the things that I don't like the way that I have been. So it's just so it was like a growing up moment for me. So even though I was very frustrated with everything that was going on and how things were playing out, I was still, once I got home, took a shower and just kind of was able to relax and just get out of that place of anger. Once I was able to do that, it was like there was also a good feeling of I handled that a lot better. And I know for some people who are going to hear this, they're going to be like, okay, you did what you were supposed to do, or you did, you know, But for people who understand that impulse to snap, and we just normally act on that impulse, to not act on that impulse when it hits you, and to be calm and to be cool and to come up with a different solution, which for me was to just take the next week off and to just reset and recalibrate and, just get my mental and emotional self together. That's a huge step for people who aren't calm people in situations like that, when a situation gets very heated or very upsetting. And so for us, it's like that's a huge thing. So for me, it was a huge thing to not react in the way that I would normally react, and not only not react, but to also just say, hey, let me take a step back, because I do realize that something isn't right. I do realize that this stuff is getting me way more upset than it normally does. And it's to the point to where I'm even saying I'm willing to let go of this job. Let me figure out what's going on. Let me figure out why I feel this way, because something is not right. Something isn't, what I'm saying? Something's going on to where it's like, I gotta figure something out. And so to have those thoughts, right? To have those thoughts, to be processing those thoughts and to handle it, for me anyways, for me to handle it in a way better way than what I normally handle it. It was a good feeling. And when I tell y'all, I'm so ready for this week. I'm so ready for this. This reset, whatever we're calling it. I'm so ready for it, because man, it's I didn't realize how much I had been holding in and how much I hadn't been speaking on certain things, because I also, in realizing myself and knowing myself, I also realized that I don't always express things in the most positive or healthy way either. So I may have been going through something, I may have needed to talk about it, but I also know that in the moment when I probably should bring it up, or I probably should be talking about it, I didn't always handle it. I don't always handle those moments the best. I don't always deliver what I'm trying to say in the best way and the best tones, and I know that can also escalate things in ways that I'm not trying to. So I'll put it on the back burner. And then once I've calmed down, and it's probably the time that I should now talk about it, it's kind of like in my mind, well, it's not bothering me anymore, so why speak on it? And so that's one of the things that I have to do better with. It's like, even though it's not bothering me in the moment, it still bothered me at some point. So there's something that that's something that I definitely should still talk about. I should still talk about with that person, or with management, or whatever the case may be. I still should talk about it. So that is something that I have to get better with, because in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, well, it ain't bothering me anymore. So what's the point? But I think the point is, because it bothered me at some point in time, just to prevent it from potentially happening again. Or if it does happen again, at least there's an understanding of, hey, I've already explained and I've already expressed that I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that, I definitely have to get better with. And that's something that I will get better with, and I will continue to work on to get better with. But yeah, man. Yeah, this week is definitely needed. I need this. I need this break, just to kind of refocus, get back to what's important, what I'm trying to do, make sure that I'm keeping the main thing, because I think it's so easy to get lost in, just everyday stuff, just going to work, coming home. Well, for me, going to the gym, going to work, coming home. It's so easy to get lost in, what's important and what you need to be doing, and also your emotions, and that's pretty much what happened for me. I was just kind of getting lost, not really paying attention to the signals, because there are the signs, because when I take a step back and I look at things, I do realize that there were things that were going on before a couple of days ago, weeks ago, that, that were annoying me. And I think that because I'm so because I'm so focused on trying not to allow things to bother me, that I'm also not allowing myself to say, hey, this bothers me, let me address it, because I'm so busy trying to be this person who's so mentally mature, so mentally, in a place of mental peace, that I'm not even allowing myself to admit, hey, this bothered me, let me address this. And I think that that's also a big part of mental maturity, is being able to acknowledge, hey, this is bothering me more than um what's the word I'm trying to say? This is bothering me more than my capacity, or it's like right there at my capacity. I need to address this. Or it's just bothering me more than I would like, more than I'm comfortable with. It's bothering me more than I'm comfortable with. I need to address this. And I think that because I'm just trying to be this, oh, I'm so at peace, it doesn't bother me type person, I'm not addressing things, because I'm trying to tell myself that it isn't bothering me, because it's not bothering me at a certain level. I'm like, okay, it don't even need to be addressed, and when really it does. And I can't speak for everybody, so I'm gonna just speak for me. It does. For me, it does. It does need to be addressed. And so again, so that's something that another thing that I'm going to work on, is just addressing things, period. Just like I said before, just addressing the things that I need to address, because it's frustrating. I'm getting frustrated more and more, and I'm burying it, which is another bad habit that I had, of burying, my frustrations, instead of talking about it, instead of addressing it, instead of handling it. I just bury it, and then I get to the point of where I got on the other day, of all of this build up, and now it's like I don't want to bury it anymore. It's like stressing me out, to the point to where I want to say something, and I want to do something that I know I regret. And again, I'm not saying physically, I'm just saying talking to people and having conversations that I know, in the way that I'm going to have these conversations, is, I'm just going to regret it, and there may be a potential of it leading to something physical. So it's just one of those things that it's just not worth it. And I, again, because I know better, I know now that I'm taking a step back, that there are things that I could be doing to handle it better. And one of those things is addressing it, with the persons, addressing it with management, but definitely addressing those things. And so I think while I'm out, that's another thing that I'm going to do, is I'm just going to just write down everything. And I need to get those things that really just push my buttons, you know what I'm saying? In that way that'll have me, like, that'll push my buttons in a way that's going to have me ready to, just snap on somebody, because I'm not sitting here acting like I'm innocent in the situation. But what I am saying is, even when I am frustrated, I've done my best at this job. Let me say at this job, because in other jobs, no. But at this job, I've done my best to not make the situation worse, or to make the situation, or just pouring gas on the fire. I've done my best to avoid doing that. And when I don't see the same in return, it is definitely just put me in a space of of just frustration and annoyance. So this week is just an emotional this week is just going to be like just an emotional and mental reset, so that way I can go in, and when I go to have these conversations, I'm having them with the best of intentions, not the intent to try to hurt or harm somebody, not with the intentions of trying to get somebody fired or frustrate someone, what or whatever. It's just with the intentions of just letting it be known that certain things aren't appreciated, certain things I don't want to keep dealing with, and it's not fair that I have to, but it's also on me to address that sooner. So I got to take accountability on my part, because there's some of these things that could have been addressed weeks ago and months ago when they first when things first started happening. But of course, because I'm trying to, be like, oh, this isn't bothering me, or oh, this isn't annoying me, and maybe it wasn't. Maybe some of the stuff wasn't bothering me as much as I thought it was, or as much as it is now. It's just the buildup of it is what's kind of doing it. Maybe those little things didn't bother me, but those little things started to add up, and so now those little things aren't so little anymore, and so now they're bothering me now. But the main point is, I didn't address it, so that's where I have to be accountable, and that's where I have to own, my part in how frustrated I've become. And that's because I didn't address things and I didn't handle things when I should have. So that's where I have to do some growing, a lot of growing. That's where I have to get better at, is just addressing things. And I mean, I've gotten better with it in my personal life, just, telling my friends, family, when they ask me how I'm doing, if it's not a good day, I'm telling them that it's not a good day, or, or if it's just just a typical bad day, whatever the case may be, I'm saying I've gotten better at, saying that. But I have to also now do that in my professional life as well. It's not just personal. I got to also do it with my professional life, making sure that I'm, talking to the managers, I'm talking to my coworkers, I'm, doing the taking those same steps that I'm taking in my personal life. I have to learn how to do that in my professional life, because I don't know. It's like, I guess the best way to explain it is, I just don't trust that they care enough to really change something, meaning in my professional life. So in my job, I don't trust that they even care enough. And then a lot of the people that I have problems with, these are senior people. These are people who've been there, who got tenure. They've been there for years. So I just don't feel like it's something that I'm going to get what I need. I feel like I'm going to get pushback. You know what I'm saying? When I go to them about the problems that I'm having with the people, but I won't know until I try. I won't know how they're going to react until, I give them the opportunity to show me. So again, I have to take accountability for not presenting how I'm feeling, for not telling them what's been going on. And so again, I can own that, and I do own that, and I will own that. Is, I think, the more important thing for me is seeing what they seeing how they react, now that I'm giving them the opportunity to show me that we can handle it, we can talk about it. And again, I don't expect everything to go my way. I don't expect them to just give me everything that I want without taking the other person into consideration. That's not what I'm thinking about at all. But I do just want to feel heard when I do come to them about the situation. So it's definitely going to be interesting, but I just need this reset. I don't think I can say it enough. I don't think I can express it enough how much I need this reset, and just to get away from everything and everyone, and just to clear my mind and, try to focus on the bigger picture. Because I think for me, I know for me, the bigger picture gets lost sometimes, especially in times like that. Because like I've said before, like I've been saying all episode, I allow my emotions, especially anger, to move me. I allow my anger to lead me. And when I'm leading with my anger, obviously the results are almost always terrible, because I'm never thinking about the consequences. I'm never thinking about the next day. I'm never thinking about, what happens next. I'm just in the moment and in the anger, and I'm just seeing red, and I don't care about the consequences. And I've put myself, and I've put my family, and I've put the people around me in some tough situations because of my actions and my inability to think past the moment, and my inability to get out of my own frustration and think about somebody other than myself in those moments of anger and in those moments of frustration. Or if I did think about somebody, it was like you'll have the thought, okay, yeah, this ain't smart. And then it's just right after that, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like right after that, I don't care. That was literally the next thought is I don't care. I would have the thought of this person or this situation, and it's just like, because all I want to do is just be angry. I don't care about anything else. I don't care about what this anger is going to do to the people around me. And I can tell you, like, one time specifically, when I left my job just because of anger, I'm not gonna say I had a right to be angry, but again, the way I handled the situation because of my anger, and I had like so many things to pay off. I had so many bills, and I was stressing, man, because I couldn't find a job, man. And it was just so much, and it was so much stress on me. And I think that I just told myself in that moment that I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not gonna keep getting upset. I'm gonna just deal with it. And that's what I did for a little while. And I guess that's one of the things that's kind of messing me up now, is that, I just deal with it. I just bury it. I don't acknowledge it, or at least I'll acknowledge it in a moment. And then after that moment of acknowledging it, I just bury it. And so that's another reason why I don't report it, or I don't talk about it, or I don't deal with it. I don't address it, is because it's like I have this idea of, okay, just deal with it. And then in trying to quote unquote just deal with it, I put myself in dangerous situations, or I just put myself in bad situations because I'm not handling it. I'm just trying to push it down and try to act like I'm this super mature, super calm, super, nonchalant person. But on the inside, I'm fuming. And, I let those fumes build up to the point to where now I'm ready to just go off on somebody. And again, I know that that's not healthy, and I got to do uh, a better job of that, and I will do a better job of that. I am going to get better with handling my anger, handling my frustration, and being able to talk through my problems with either the people that I have the problem with, or management, some type of mediator. I am going to do better at what I need to be doing, because I want better for myself, and I know in order to get to those better things that I want for myself, I have to start doing better, and I have to start operating in better places. So that's part of my homework for this week while I'm on this reset. But overall, man, take those resets, man. That's my message. Take those resets when you need them, man. And it don't have to be a week. It can be a day, 2 days, whatever. But take those resets, especially when you know that not taking those resets can put you in a place of of having to like move backwards or it's going to put you in a worse position than you're in now. So take those resets, and also start learning how to deal with your emotions better, especially those negative emotions. Learning how to deal with that anger and that frustration better, learning how to walk away, learning and understanding that not everything has to be an argument. Not everything has to be, you have to win this, you have to dominate this, you have to whatever, everything doesn't have to be that. So, and I think that that's another thing that I had to learn, is that everything doesn't have to be an argument. Everything doesn't have to be a fight. Not every single piece of criticism is an attack for, and this is just for me, but if you also feel that way, not everything is going to get, not everybody is against you just because they're trying to correct you and trying to help better you. So those would definitely be my two lessons from this episode: is take those breaks when you need them, to get that reset when you need it, but also learning how to deal with your emotions in a healthy way, especially those negative emotions, though, that anger and that frustration. When you know that you normally don't handle things, when you're angry, when you're upset, you don't handle those things the best. Learning how to deal with those emotions in a healthier way is so important. It's going to be so big in your development and getting to the places that you want to be, that place of calmness, that place of peace. You're going to have to learn how to deal with your emotions when you're angry, and understand that everything in that moment when you're angry doesn't have to be a battle. It doesn't have to be a struggle. It doesn't have to be a fight. It doesn't have to be an attack. You can just walk away until you've calmed down. There can be peaceful conversations. There can be, you can regulate your emotions. You just have to get the tools and know how to do it, but you have to be willing to do it in the beginning to figure out how to handle your emotions in a healthier way. But that's it for today's episode. I want to thank everybody for listening on whatever platforms y'all are listening on. I thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. And to everybody watching on YouTube, I thank y'all and I appreciate y'all as well. Please continue to like, share, comment, subscribe. And man, until the next time that I see y'all, man, y'all stay blessed.